Hi, thanks for coming on, Andy. Speaking Friday, the 15th of November. Apologies, you're going to get this late. I've had a couple of days off this week, so a bit behind. But I'm going to cover the National League this week because League One coupon, I think, is awful. It's a smidge of value in League Two. We're covering two leagues in Scotland. I'm not covering the Championship because we've got two really strong bets in the Scottish Championship, so we won't be covering that on this video, but I thought we'd cover the National League instead. I generally don't like to sort of get involved in the National League early on. I do end up doing it, but I try to make it a rule sort of end of October time. So we'll have a look. Right, we'll start with Altrincham Southend 38-24, 38. A game I couldn't split. Altrincham are 10th, Southend 15th. Altrincham have not beaten a team above them at all. They've beaten nobody in the top 10. They've drawn 4 of those games and lost a couple. Home to teams below them, Altrincham, they've got a 3-2-1 record. The only defeat came at home to Eastleigh, who I saw last week, and they looked absolutely awful. Only recent defeat was a 2-0 doing at Braintree. That was a while ago. They're up to beating Southend. They're not the side I thought they'd be this season. They've got some useful wins on the road at Rochdale, Solihull, got to draw Oldham. Just inconsistencies. They've got a 5-6-6 record. That's a win-draw-loss record overall. Doesn't inspire me to go and bet them at all, home or away. Altrincham would be the bet if I was going to have a bet, but 0.1 at 38% just isn't enough. Right, Braintree against Fylde, 55-25, 20. Again, I'm not a huge fan of either of these two, I've got to be honest. They've got a 3-2-3 home record, Braintree, and they've beaten Halifax, Altrincham and Aldershot here, which isn't bad. Home defeats to Sutton, Tamworth and Yeovil. Are those sides better than Fylde? Probably. Fylde on the road are 1-1-6. Their only win came at Boston, who are second bottom. We think Braintree should be odds on. Their evens is 0.2 in them. It's a question of whether you think that's whether that offers any appeal or not. Dagenham against Barnet, 37-27, 36. When I looked at this game, and straight away from doing this for years, I just thought 23-20 about Barnet was too short. I knew that was going to be the case, and it's proven to be the case. And Dagenham at home have got a 4-3-1 record. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not that. The fact they've beaten Sutton 3-0, Gateshead 7-1. That's decent enough. I'm not saying they're going to win this game, because look at the ratings. There's only 1 point between them. So, and this is something that I just want to touch on this. Someone last week said to me, "Oh, such and such, they were rated higher than them, but didn't win." I mean, there was 2 points in it. You know, guys, come on, you need to use your heads with things like this. I mean, look, you can tell that there's not a lot between Barnet, the draw, and Dagenham. So you know it's a game which it could go either way of the three. Anyone could win. It could end up being a draw. But from a betting point of view, if you were going to have a bet in this game, there's only one bet you would have, and that's Dagenham, because there's half a point in it. The draw is 11-4. That's how we see it. We see Barnet at 7-4. They're 23-20. As I say, they've got a 4-3-1 home record, Dagenham. Barnet, brilliant at home, 8-1-0, but on the road, 3-0-5. Just bear that in mind. Their best win on the road has been against 17th place Aldershot, and they've won at 22nd place Wealdstone, 24th place Ebbsfleet. They were turned over at 21st place Maidenhead, and the other 4 away games, they've lost all of those as well. They are not the same team on the road. I don't think they're as good as Forest Green. Forest Green would still be my bet for the title at this stage. I know they've got... I mean, one of the reasons why is because they've been away at Barnet, they've been away at Gateshead, they've been away at Oldham, they've been away at Rochdale, they've been away at Solihull, and they're still second in the table. They've got a nice chunk of home fixtures. sort of mid to lower range teams. I know they've got to play the likes of Barnet and that at home, but I wouldn't be worried about that. Forest Green would still be my bet for the title. We're on them, and I'm happy with our position on them. Ebbsfleet, Solihull, 25-25, 50. Beat Hartlepool. That's just a standing joke in my house about Hartlepool United. That's their only win of the season. They've held Rochdale. They've been turned over 4 times at home. 3 of those have been against teams in the top 8, Barnet, Oldham and Halifax. They got a 3-0 doing off Woking as well. I didn't think they were totally out of this game. Solihull, odds on. I didn't think they warranted being odds on. Very funny side. They've won at Oldham, Rochdale, Yeovil and Halifax, all teams in the top 8. But they've lost to Eastleigh and Fylde, who are, Fylde are 18th. So they ought to win Solihull tomorrow. We just don't see them as odds on. Gateshead, Aldershot, 58-22-20. Just a 1 defeat for Gateshead at home. And again, that was against Forest Green. Would I see Barnet or York winning here? No, I wouldn't. And that is why I'm very, very happy with our position on Forest Green. We see Gateshead 8-11. They're in the weekly treble or double or whatever. We'll come to that at the end. But they've got a 7-0-1 home record. And as I say, the only team they've been turned over here is against Forest Green. They've beaten some useful sides as well, the likes of Yeovil, Solihull here as well. Aldershot, 17th in the table, got a 1-3-4 away record, 1 at Halifax, but the fact they've lost at Tamworth, Hartlepool, Fylde and Braintree, I think offers little hope tomorrow. I could be wrong. Hartlepool, Eastleigh. What do I think of my Hartlepool? I think we ought to win tomorrow, if I'm honest. I saw Eastleigh last week. It was at home to Braintree, and Eastleigh went 1-0 up and folded. There's definitely. I mean, it looked to me they were very, very leggy in the second half. I think Hartlepool will win tomorrow. I really do. It's not all doom and gloom at home for us. I mean, we've lost to Dagenham and Rochdale, 12th and 6th. Eastleigh are 11th, but the fact we beat Sutton offers a bit of hope. And the 2-0 win over Aldershot the other week as well. We got done 5-3 at York, but I don't think that was overly bad. I don't think that's overly bad. I think we're about to turn a corner. I could be wrong. Well, we have turned a bit of a corner in the last 5 matches because we've won 2, drawn 2, and lost only 1 to York City. I just think that I think we'll win tomorrow. It's very hard for me to say that, but I do. I think we'll win tomorrow. But there's nothing in us, so I would leave the game alone. If Eastleigh beat us tomorrow, I will be absolutely on the floor. Oldham at home to Tamworth, 58-22-20, 4-3-1 home record. Oldham 4-7's too short. We see them at 8-11. The only defeat here was at home to Solihull. That was quite recently. My biggest concern with Oldham is there's too many draws. I don't like the fact draws at home to Fylde and Southend, draws away at Maidenhead. I don't like that. I mean, wins against Sutton, beat Forest Green as well. That's it. I'm still hopeful Oldham can put in a challenge. They're just off it at the moment, but you know, a couple of wins, York drop a bit. It's all back on, isn't it? I mean, like someone said to me, did I think Hartlepool could still make the playoffs? Absolutely, because there's so many games left. We've only had 17 games out of 46. That's 29 games, guys. There's 87 points left to play for Christ's sake. It's, I mean, look, we're not going to win the league, but when you see in 7th place is Yeovil on 28 points, we're 7 points off Yeovil. And like I say, with 87 still to play, I still think anything can happen. Nothing's decided now. Tamworth on the road, anyway, they're 2-1-5, and their record on the road to teams 15th and above is played 5, lost 5, and they've had some right trouncing. 7-0 at Barnet, and in those 5 games that I'm just referring to, they've shipped 15 goals. You fancy Oldham to find net a couple at least twice tomorrow. I think we've got Oldham in the weekend double and that, haven't we? I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was days ago I'd done it, but we'll come to that at the end. No value in the game. There's a bit of value in Tamworth. 20% at 0.5 isn't for me. Sutton Maidenhead 54-26-20. Sutton. I thought Sutton would be better than we've seen this season, but I don't know. Maybe it's going to take another season. Should they be odds on tomorrow? Yes, I think they should be. They've had some really, really tough home games. If you look at the top 7, they've played York, who are first, Forest Green, who are second, 4th place Gateshead, 5th place Oldham, 7th place Yeovil. They've played 5 of the top 7 at home. Outside the top 7 at home, they've played Altrincham, who they beat 5-0, Ebbsfleet, who they beat 3-2, and a 3-0 home defeat against Boston. They're woefully out of form, though. They've lost 4 of the last 5. That would be a concern. Maidenhead, they strung a few wins together, but again, the wheels have just come off a bit lately. But they got a 4-1 doing by Forest Green, didn't they, last time out? So you can forgive them. I think Sutton will probably win. It was a game for me to not get involved with. Wealdstone against Rochdale, we got some involvement in this game. Wealdstone 2-1-5 at home, and the 2 wins have been against Fylde and Braintree, who are 18th and 20. Rochdale are 6th at home to teams in the top 7. They've played 4, lost 4, haven't scored a goal, and they've shipped 9 goals. Again, you'd fancy Rochdale to find the net at least a couple of times. Rochdale are 4-1-3 on the road, and at home and away to teams in the bottom third, they've got a fantastic record of 6-1-0. On the road, that's 3-1-0. They're certainly putting away teams near the bottom, Rochdale, that they need to, and I would imagine they will do so again tomorrow. Woking against Boston. Again, Woking, when you look at you just look at their form. I mean, they've not won for an age, but when you split the table in half against the top 11, they've drawn 3, lost 6. That's a 0-3-6 record against teams in the top 11. When you look at teams in the bottom half, that record looks a bit better. It becomes a 4-2-2 record. And Boston are second from bottom. Boston, a funny side. They won 2-0 at York, 3-0 at Sutton. They're their only 2 wins, both on the road. You wouldn't put it past them tomorrow, would you? If I put the scores on them and found them winning, I mean, I might go to this tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. It depends if I can get a stream for the Hartlepool game. If I can get a stream for the Hartlepool game, I should be watching that. But yeah, you wouldn't put it past Boston. I'd like to see Halifax tomorrow though as well. Yeovil are 7th. They're on a decent run of form. They've not been beat in a while. They've definitely got a bit of a class barrier. When you look at the top 10, home and away, they've got a 0-1-4 record against teams in the top 10. Outside the top 10, they've won 8 times. That's, and they've drawn. What is it? They've drawn 3. They've got an 8-1. They've got an 8-3-1 record home and away to teams outside the top 10. Halifax are 8th. That could be the problem, but Halifax road form isn't good. It looks okay, 1-3, drawn 2, lost 2, but the 3 wins have been against Maidenhead, Boston and Ebbsfleet, who are 21st, 23rd and 24th. There's a smidge of value in Halifax. If I had to pick a winner, it would be Yeovil. This is another reason why I don't want to go to Yeovil tomorrow and want to watch the Hartlepool game, because I'd love to see this game as well. Forest Green against York. I think Forest Green will win. I do. I think they're the best team in the division. I've thought that for a while, and I do think that they will be the team that wins the league. They got a 5-1-0 home record. Pretty perfect. The 2 losses have been away at Barnet 1-0 and away at Oldham 1-0. All told, they've got an 11-4-2 record. It's strong, isn't it? And as I say, the only defeats have been at Barnet and Oldham by the odd goal. York on the road, a 4-4-0. Something has to give tomorrow. York haven't played a top 7 team on the road. That's my issue with them. When I look at Forest Green, the fact that Forest Green have been to Gateshead, won, Rochdale, drew. Yes, they lost to Oldham and Barnet by the odd goal, but at least we know their level. We don't know York's level yet because their best, the hardest team they've played on the road was 8th place Halifax, where they won 2-1. They've not played a top 7 side on the road. Tomorrow they play the team which is in 2nd place, a point behind them. I think Forest Green will be top of the table tomorrow night. I really do. It's just a shame there's nothing in them because I would love to back them. Right. What are we backing? I'm backing Rochdale, Dagenham and Braintree. Those are the 3 bets for me tomorrow in the National League. Braintree, Dagenham and Rochdale, and Gateshead and Oldham, I'm both sure are in the weekend double, treble, whatever. Right, let's go on to England. And it does make a bit of a change to do the National League. As I say, I absolutely love it. It's up there for me with Scotland and League 2 in England. It's just, I don't like to jump in until we've seen some form because, you know, one team can, like what I was just saying about someone like Boston, they can go and win away at York, who are top one week, and then get turned over 4-0 at home by, I don't know, somebody like Fylde, and it doesn't make sense. And sometimes you've just got to roll with that in the National League. That's why it's important, really, really important, that you're getting good value with your bets. I didn't think it was great value this weekend anywhere. But let's go through England. Right, Exeter Lincoln, 38, 25, 37. Really, really tough game to call. I do slightly favour Lincoln. I know how the figures have come out, 38, 37. But I just do slightly fancy Lincoln. Exeter, for me, their best home win was against 13th place Charlton. They've been done at home by Peterborough and Reading, who are 9th and 12th. Lincoln are 5th. I just think Lincoln have got that little bit more class, and they've only lost 1 game on the road, but the problem was that was at Crawley. It's a no-bet game for me anyway. Blackpool against Northampton, 55-22, 23. The wheels had come off at Blackpool. I knew they would at some stage under Bruce. I didn't want him in the job. He started well. There was the typical bounce factor. That's worn off a long time ago. The last 6 games have yielded 2 draws, 4 defeats. I mean, there was a 5-1 hammering and a 3-0 doing in there as well. They're not going to make the playoffs under this bloke. I'm sorry. They've got a top 6 squad. We know that. But the problem is they've got a tin pot manager, sadly to say. Why, oh why did they not go and get Pete Wilder? It's just absolutely beggars belief. Would I touch him at 8-13 tomorrow? Absolutely not. Northampton are above them in the league. Northampton have won at bleeding Huddersfield, drawn at Birmingham, drawn at Barnsley, drawn at Stockport. Why can't Northampton win here tomorrow? Tell me that. I'm not saying they will, but 1.17 in them is... I'm backing Northampton. It's not a members bet, but I'm backing Northampton. I'm not letting a 9-2 shot go unbacked against a team that's lost 4 of its last 6. And it's not just the fact that they've lost, it's the way that they've lost. They're leaking goals. Bristol Rovers against Crawley, 55-25-20. This surprised me when I was going through this. They're a team that, you know, I very rarely get involved with, Bristol Rovers, I've got to say, but you know, on the face of it, home and away, they've got a 5-2-7 record, and you think, well, that's no good, is it? Who wants to back teams like that? But they've lost 5 games on the road. They've come at Barnsley, Stockport, Huddersfield, Reading and Peterborough, all teams in the top half of the table. At home, they've lost 2. That was to Wickham and Wigan. They're hardly the worst sides. I didn't think Bristol Rovers' form was that bad. When you scratch the surface, I know 5-2-7 record looks poor, but again, it's who you beat and who you lose to. They got a 0-0 at Rotherham in there as well. They beat Charlton 3-2. Anyway, they're 16th. Crawley are 21st. At home to teams below them, they're 3-0-1. We think they should be 4-5 tomorrow. They're 19-20. There's 0.15 in them. I think it's a decent bet. Crawley are 115 on the road. Their only win was at Cambridge, and they drew at Burton. Those two teams are 22nd and 23rd. Rovers ought to win this tomorrow. Cambridge against Barnsley, 19-26-55. When I first looked, that's 4-5, by the way. When I first looked at this game, I just thought, naturally straight away, I thought Barnsley would be heavy odds on from us, but we've only got them in at 4-5. They're 5-6, 0.03. It's not for me. I'm not going to back a team away from home that's got 0.03 in them. Cambridge have won 3 of the last 6. I did say last week I thought they might get filled in at Peterborough, and they did 6-1. They got flogged. Barnsley on the road aren't bad. They've got a 5-0-2 record. The defeats have been at Huddersfield and Stevenage. Away to teams in the bottom third. On the road, they've played 4-1-4. I think they'll beat Cambridge tomorrow. I would want to back Barnsley, but not at the price. 0.03 just isn't enough, on the road. Charlton Peterborough 38-27-35. Tough game to assess this one, but they're 3-3-1 at home. Charlton. It's sort of my gut sort of said draw, because Peterborough are decent against the sides in and around them. Charlton are decent against the sides in and around them. And when you get something like that, you do tend to think, oh yeah, this is going to be a draw, and that was my feeling there. Stockport Wrexham, 6th place third. I don't really like Stockport at the moment. They've won the last 2 here. I have to say, got to give them credit for that. They've done Bolton 5-0, Reading 4-1. If they turn up in that sort of form tomorrow, you'd expect them to win. They're just a tad unreliable. Wrexham are good at home. I just don't trust them on the road. They're 2-3-2. There's 0.4 in Wrexham. The value's with them. Stockport most likely as winners. I think is a really tough game to assess. Again, I think it'd be a great game to watch. And we're subjected to this National League rubbish, international crap. Yet, there's games that you could look at tomorrow in League One and League Two and think, oh, that's a really decent game. Why can't we see that? For people that have got sort of streams and that, yes, you can, but I don't know. We're obsessed with high-end football, and I hate it. I do. Right, let's move on. Right, League 2, Accrington, Swindon, 40-27-33. Accrington, 2-4-1 home record. It's all right, isn't it? 2 wins, 4 draws, 1 defeat. You'd expect them not to lose this tomorrow. They play 22nd place Swindon, who are 1-4-3 on the road. They're 1-4-3 on the road. Accrington are 2-4-1 at home. If you were doing the pools, you'd have this as a banker score draw, wouldn't you? I would anyway. It's not a betting game. Barrow Wimbledon, 41-26-33. Horrible decision to make here. I've really hated this game because I'm being forced to back Barrow. I have to back Barrow because 0.4 at 41% has to be a bet. My problem is they've only won 1 in the last 8. That was a 2-1 win against Cheltenham. They're right out of form. They've drawn the last 3, lost the last 2 prior to that. Their last 8 games reads 1-3-4. Doesn't inspire you to have a bet, does it? But the home record is 4-3-1. So they got a 4-3-1 home record. Wimbledon on the road are 1-1-4. So they've lost 4 times on the road, only won once. So you look at that, and then you look at who's beaten Wimbledon. They've lost to Salford. They've lost to Bromley on the road. Notts County, Port Vale. Forget the top 2. The fact they've lost to Salford and Bromley, I don't like that. That tells you that Barrow shouldn't be losing this game tomorrow. So you've got to question Barrow or draw. 9-5. You've really got to back Barrow, haven't you? I didn't want to, and I still don't want to, but 0.4 at 41% has to be backed. I could try and manipulate the figures, but it's not going to help us. We've got to back Barrow, sadly. Sorry, I'm just trying not to throw a cup of tea over the place. Bromley Carlisle, 42-24-34. Carlisle came to life last week, finally, with a win at Salford, 1-0. I think that was a decent result. On the road to teams in the bottom half, they've only lost once, and that was to Wimbledon, and they're a decent side, as we know, at home, Wimbledon. It's 0.85 in Carlisle tomorrow. Bromley are, well, Bromley 19th, aren't they? They've only won one, and that was at Doncaster. How the hell did they win that? That's the only win since the second day of the season. Yet they're 11-10. It's a 0.85 in Carlisle United tomorrow, guys. I think it's good value. I'm not saying they're going to win, but 11-4 shots, about 19-10, surely have to be backed. Colchester Bradford, 38-27-35. Two teams I don't like, don't trust either. One win in the last 8 for Colchester, and in the last 7 they've drawn 4, lost 3. I don't like them at all. They've spent money as well, and I think the Cowleys are now been exposed for what they are. Bradford are 2-4 on the road. Yeah, I mean, they've won at MK Dons and Tranmere, but they've lost at Harrogate and Fleetwood. I don't trust Bradford at all now. I'm well out of love with them. Again, give Pete Wild the job. This team wins the league. They're 8 points behind Port Vale at the moment. Give Pete Wild the job. How many games are left? 31. Bradford trot up if Pete Wild was to get the job, but he won't. Crewe against Notts County, because Bradford are tight arses. Crewe Notts County, 37-27-36. Tough game to assess this. I wanted to bet Crewe because I always want to be against Notts County, but there's nothing in them, sadly. Well, there's a bit. You know, I mean, we're getting 0.18. It's 37%. It's non-existent. It's not enough for us. Notts County, as you know, on the road, their best win is against 19th placed Bromley, and they're third in the table. Don't fall for it. They're not the third best team. They're not winning the division. They're frauds. Doncaster Salford, 55-24-21. Would not trust Doncaster Rovers after getting turned over at home to Bromley. They ought to be winning this tomorrow. They're 4-2 at home. Not so sure. It isn't for me. Salford have only lost once away. That was at Newport. They've got a 1-5-1 record. They've drawn 5 from 7. They're capable of getting a draw tomorrow. We know that. Harrogate Chesterfield, 20-22-58. There's a tiny bit in Chesterfield. They got a doing last week, didn't they? At home to Accrington, 3-0. That absolutely shocked me. I mean, I never backed them or anything. Did we back them? I can't remember. But wow, to lose. No, we wouldn't have backed them. They'd have been too short. But I just don't understand what's going on. I mean, they've won 3-0 at Doncaster, 5-0 at Crewe, who are 4th and 5th. Yeah, at home they've been unable to beat Colchester, Swindon, and Accrington, and Cheltenham and Salford. It's just, I just don't know. They've got a 1-6-1 home record and a 4-1-2 away record. And the teams they've lost to away, they're no mugs. I mean, the Port Vale and Gillingham when Gillingham are flying. So our home rating on Chesterfield compared to the away rating is vastly, vastly different. If this was switched round and Chesterfield were at home tomorrow, that figure wouldn't be as high as 58, I can assure you. We probably wouldn't even have them odds on for this tomorrow. They're 8-11. We've got them 8-11. They're 4-5. There's 0.08 in it. On a weekend like it is this weekend, you've probably got to take it. Harrogate are in 20th. On the road, they're 1-3-3, but the draws and the win came against 21st place Colchester. The draws have come against Accrington, Swindon and Carlisle, who are 18th, 22nd and 23rd. Away from the teams 18th and above, they've played 3, lost 3. At home, they've beaten Doncaster, Bradford, Newport. They got done 5-1 by MK Dons. Barrow won there, Bromley won there. Chesterfield ought to win tomorrow. MK Dons against Cheltenham, 60-24-16. One of our anti-post outrights flying along. MK Dons going to be in the shake-up now. Decent manager, won the last 4, only 1 defeat in the last 8, and that was at home to Port Vale. They're definitely going to be there or thereabouts. We make them 4-6 tomorrow. They're 4-5. There's 0.14 in it against Cheltenham. Cheltenham are 2-1-4 on the road, but the wins have been against Colchester and Carlisle, 21st and 23rd. Against teams above them on the road, they are 0-1-4. Dons ought to win this tomorrow, and there's 0.14 in them. Get on. Morecambe Port Vale, bottom at home to top, 0-3-4 at home. Morecambe. The best draw was against Notts County, but that, as I've said, and I keep saying, Notts County aren't a top 6 side. Don't care what anyone says. Then they're not a top 6 side. Those points have been accrued by beating teams outside the top cluster. When they've got to play the top boys on the road, they'll get done. Absolutely no doubt about that. But Morecambe, you wouldn't have much hope. Port Vale are 5-1-2 on the road. The defeats have come against 8th place Gillingham, 11th place Barrow. The bottom half away from home is 3-1-0. If you combine that home and away, it's 6-3-0. They've not lost to a team in the bottom half, and as I say, they win 66% of the time. They're 4-5. They should be 7-10. There's 0.1 in it. Get on. Newport Grimsby, 36-24-40. Don't know what to make of this one. Newport are a funny side, aren't they? They're not the worst at home. They're 4-1-2 at home. They've only lost to Port Vale and Chesterfield. They've beaten Doncaster, Crewe here, Salford. Decent teams. Yet Grimsby are put in as favourites, 11-8. I think that's far too short. I mean, yeah, they're 5-0-3 on the road, and they've only lost to Cheltenham, Fleetwood and Notts County. Hard game to assess, but the value certainly with Newport. I just thought we make Grimsby favourites at 6-4, but 11-8 is too short, and 2-1 Newport was too big. That is it. That's it, guys. Let's go to Scotland. Right now, obviously Premiership's not on. I can't cover Championship because we've got 2 very, very strong bets there, including a maximum. So I can't give that out. I can't give any information out there on Scottish Championship. But we got a 2-point win and a maximum bet in that division. So just not going to cover the Championship. It's a big game there tomorrow. Livingston against Falkirk. But of course, we're not going to get to see that, are we? Why would we want to see that when we can watch Greece, England and crap like that? Hate it. Absolutely frustrates the hell out of me. Right, Arbroath Co. 42-26-32. 3-2-2 at home. Arbroath going along okay. Got the wheels back on. Cove are second. They're decent on the road, Cove, aren't they? They're 4-1-2. I thought this was a tough game to assess. I really did. I made Arbroath favourites, but I do think 6-5 is skinny enough. Cove aren't without a chance. It's not a game to have a bet in, though. This is a terrible division, by the way. I feel terrible for putting this up and not showing you the Championship, but I have to think about members. Annan Kelty, 38-27-35. Annan haven't been as bad as what I thought they had, and when you look at the home record, 3-2-1, it's not the worst in the world, I have to say. They've only lost 1 at home, and that was to Alloa, who were top. So I don't know what to make of Annan. On the road, they're 1-0-6. They won at Cove first game of the season, but since then they've lost all 6 on the road. So they're a different side on the road to what they are at home. Kelty at 2-3-2. They've won at Arbroath, Queen of the South. The only losses on the road have been against first place Alloa, 5th place Steny, and an 8th. I thought the game could end up being a draw, and again it was one of those. If you've still done the old football polls, I thought this was a banker score draw. Not that I've ever won millions on the football polls before, you ask. I've had some touches, but nothing to set me up for life, I can assure you, over the years. Dumbarton, Queen of the South, 40-26-34. 1-3-3 at home, Dumbarton. Queen of the South on the road is what is making Dumbarton favourites, because they're 0-2-4. So this is one of those games where that figure has been overly inflated by their poor performances on the road. You couldn't begin to think about having a bet in a game like this. Sorry. Inverness, Alloa. Now this might seem funny because Inverness are bottom on 1 point, Alloa are top with 21. But we have to. Inverness have had a points deduction. But it was a good performance to win at Cove last week. I was very, very, very impressed. At home, they're 2-5-0. So you got to say they're probably not going to get beat tomorrow. Alloa on the road are good though. They're 2-4-0. So you got 2-4-0 going in against 2-5-0. Again, banker score draw probably. Couldn't see Inverness losing this game. Probably too big for a lay, isn't it? But again, maybe Inverness double chance. You know, that's 72%. See what 72% comes out in odds. Can you get better than that? If you can, then it's a value bet, isn't it? Inverness on the double chance. But again, one for the football pools. I don't know why I keep saying that. Stenhouse and Montrose, 42-24-34. Really good at home. Steny, 4-1-1. Beating everybody at home, haven't they, really, pretty much. You know, bar Alloa, they got turned over by them. Held by Queen of the South. But they've beaten Cove, Kelty, Arbroath, who are 2nd, 3rd and 4th. It's rock solid form. You know, Montrose, it's... Again, they're not going to go down, but they are win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw. One of those sides this season. Really disappointing, because I mean they're 7th. They're better than 7th. I know that. I mean, look, they're only 4 points off top, so there's not. This is such a competitive league. I mean, if Montrose were to win tomorrow and Alloa get beat, then they'd be a point behind Alloa. It's just not. I couldn't have any confidence in any of these games here at all. I couldn't even point you in the direction of a decent bet, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe Annan. League 2's better, and we got a couple of bets in League 2. I'll come to that. Clyde East 5, 31-27-42. Again, Clyde are favourites. I mean, it's just incredible, isn't it? Every week, Clyde are going off favourites. Yeah, they've got a 1-6-5 record. They've won one game all season. I'm out of excuses for them. You know, I've read the reports. And I thought, yeah, crikey, yeah, well, it's going to click soon. It's going to click. But no, look, we got to face facts. Then no chance of the title. They're 15 points behind. Playoffs, well, they're 6 points behind the playoffs. Possibly, but I don't see it. Sorry, 1-6-5 record. And they're favourites to East 5. Wow. East 5 are 2-1-2 on the road. They're not the same side they are at home, but they've won at Stirling and Spartans. Gave Clyde a 5-1 doing here not so long ago. 0.32 at 42%. I'm not getting involved. Clyde could turn up. But again, going through the squad and the teams, and East 5 look better all round anyway. If you wanted to bet East 5, don't let me put you off. It's just not for me. Elgin Forfar, 50-27-23. We think they should be evens. They're 6-5. There's 0.2 in them. They got a 3-2-0 home record. They've beaten East Fife here 4-2. Fourth hour bottom of the table. Ray McKinnon's been sacked. About time. But I don't think you can put all the blame on him. There could be a bounce from fourth hour tomorrow. Every possibility. Every possibility there could be a bounce from fourth hour tomorrow. Because it's still an okay squad. They could play with the shackles off and turn up and belt Elgin 3-0 or something. I don't see it. I mean, their road form is 1-0-5. They've won at Bonnie Rig 1-0. I don't see them getting anything here, I have to say. It's not out the realm, beyond the realms, but I just don't see it. The 3-0 home defeat by Edinburgh was just absolutely wow. Peterhead Edinburgh 66-22-12. 2's on Peterborough. We see them. They're 4-11. Nothing there. They're 4-1-1 at home. They've lost to Elgin. Edinburgh better than most of us thought. Their only win on the road was at bottom club 4-4. I'm sure they'll get done tomorrow, Edinburgh. But we don't know. It is Scottish League 2 after all. Just do bear that in mind. Spartans against Stirling 40-24-36. I found this game very favourable in Stirling's favour, and I'll tell you why. Away from home, they've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 1. They've beaten Edinburgh 5th, Stranraer 7th, Clyde who are 9th, and they've scored 2 goals in each of those games. They've drawn 1-1 at East Fife and lost 2-1 at Peterhead. They've scored in every away game, Stirling. The only defeat, as I say, was at Peterhead. They're 4th. To teams below them on the road, they've won every game. Spartans are 6th and have a 2-1-2 home record. They've beaten 10th place Forfar here and 8th place Bonnie Rig. Yet they're 11-10 and Stirling are 13-5. Unless the fix is in and we don't know anything about it, that's cracking value. Absolute cracking value. 0.85 at 36%. We've got to go with that, guys. That's a bet. Stranraer Bonnie Rig 39-26-35. 1-3-1 home record Stranraer. I mean, they've done the double over East Fife already this season, which is absolutely incredible. This is their first home game against teams in the bottom third, so I would expect them to probably see Bonnie Rig off. I have to say, they've got a points deduction. I don't know whether it's been taken off yet or not. I think it probably has. Let me just add this up. 4, 15... They should be on 17. They're on 11. Yes, they've had the points deduction. Yeah, they've had the points deduction. On the road, they've won at Stirling 2-0, drawn at Edinburgh, drawn at Clyde, lost the other 3 at East Fife, Elgin and Spartans. Stranraer, I think, will probably win. There's not enough in it for a bet. But I'm certainly going to have a bet on Elgin, and I'm certainly going to be having a bet on Stirling. 13-5 for a team that's won every game on the road to teams below them. And that team, Spartans, has not beaten anybody above them. Don't let me put you off East Fife either. Let's have a look at the weekend double. There we go. Yeah, I mean, that was an absolute gutter last week, wasn't it? East Fife getting done at home to Stranraer. Incredible. So 9 weekly doubles, 6 of 1, 66.66%. Profit on investment, 35.3. That's absolutely fantastic. It's not about this. Okay, that's what it's about. And if you can get this nice and high, that helps. But like I say, at the end of the season, I want this to be at 50% with the average strike rate because then that gives us 12.5% profit on investment, which any professional will tell you if they can bet, trade, whatever over the course of a year and come out with a 12.5% profit on investment, you're going to take it. Don't be greedy. Let it trickle. A dripping tap fills the bucket. Don't forget that. Don't try to fill the bucket too quickly. it'll overfill and spill everywhere. Don't forget that. So MK Dons and Peterhead this week. MK Dons and Peterhead. The weekly treble. 9 bets, 3-1, 33%. 0.67, 7.44. That's way down. And like I say, you can look. 6 from 9, 3 from 9. This is performing half as well as the doubles, and we're only adding one extra team. And that is why I do not do trebles and accumulators. And when people come on to me and say, oh, I backed 4 teams today and such let me down. Guys, it is so hard to land anything above a double, and the proof is here. Okay? These teams, some of these teams that let us down have been rated in the 60s and stuff. I think, were they rated 70% last week? It's unthinkable, but it happens. And that's why accumulators are mugs bets. They are mugs bets. I mean, I've worked in the industry for donkey's years, and when people troll in with a football coupon on a Saturday, 6 teams, all look sexy, at 10 to 5, oh, some such let me down. It's an age-old story, trust me. Will this make a profit at the end of the season? I've no idea. I am willing to bet good money that this will. Whether we come in at that, I don't know, because we're over that at the moment, aren't we? So you know, we're doing well. But trebles are so hard, and when you speak to people, and it's only just one more selection, but that one more selection is such a difficult selection to come in, and there you go. It just proves that trebles are twice as hard to get as doubles, yet you're only adding one more team. So when you go and do 4 or 5 teams, that is extremely hard to get up. Let's have a look at the Scotland over 50s. These are the ones. These are just blind, with or without value. Like that, you can see that's got value in. That's got value in. That's got value in. That hasn't. That hasn't. But you know, we got a separate table for that. These are just blind teams rated over 50 in Scotland. And there's been 96 of them so far. 65 have won. 67.71% strike rate. Profit of 14.06. Profit on investment 14.64. I would snap your hand off at that. If someone come along to me and said, Andy, you're going to have 96 bets by the 15th of November, 65 of them are going to win. I don't care about the strike rate. And your profit's going to be 14.06. I don't care about the profit. I want to know what my profit on investment is going to be. My profit on investment is going to be 14.64%. I will snap your hand off for that. And anybody that says, oh, it doesn't interest me, you're the mug. Because that is what anybody works on. A banker, a bettor, everybody. That is what matters. That matters none. It's that figure. Profit on investment. Here's the teams with value. (32), 23 of 1, 71.87%. It's overperforming. Massively. We know that. Profit of 13.2. That is absolutely incredible. Now, again, if you said to me, Andy, you're going to bet 32 times, 23 will win. I honestly don't care about how many winners. I could have 5 winners out of 32. Doesn't bother me, okay? Could have 4 winners out of 32. Honestly, it just doesn't bother me. That is the only figure that interests me, is my profit on investment. I don't care about that. I don't care about how many winners I have. I don't care about my losing run. I care about my profit on investment, and that is the only thing I care about when it comes to betting. And when people come on to me and say, well, I don't like losing runs, I want a 60% strike rate. Don't bother, because I can give you a 60% strike rate and no long losing runs, but are you going to be happy and are you going to win money? That's what you've got to ask yourself. It's about profit on investment. It's the same as anything. You buy a house and you want to make money from it, and you invest 100 grand, you sell it for 140, you've made £40,000. You've made 40% profit on investment. That's the figure that is key in any business. It doesn't matter how many winners you have and what your strike rate is. We all want a high strike rate. We'd love a 50% strike rate at 5-4, wouldn't we? That goes win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. We'd absolutely love that. But betting doesn't go like that. The other week we had, what? Did we have 8 members bets or something? Lost in a row. Then one day I gave out 7 and 6 won. That is betting. And you have to take the rough with the smooth. And you have to look at it as a long-term thing. It isn't all about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. I mean, it's like, I'll give you an example now. Like, I mean, National League North, Chorley are first, Kidderminster are second, Scunthorpe are fourth. Those are our 3 bets. Now, I think we had a point and a half or something on Kidderminster and Scunthorpe. Do we have 2 or 3 points on Chorley at 16-1 and they're top? That, for me, that is absolutely, that could make my season. Not my season. It could probably, if Chorley were to win, and we make even if we make a small profit on all the weekends bets, the anti-post stuff comes in, and Chorley, let's just say Chorley were to win. 30 odd points, that will do me. That's probably sort of 2 seasons worth of profit, if you like, in that one bet. But when I say to people I had 2 points on Chorley, a point on Kidderminster, a point, and they say, "Oh, you're stupid." Am I? My teams are first, second, and fourth. I don't think I'm stupid. But I only back teams that have got value in and that have got a good chance. And at the start of the season, we felt those teams had value in, and those teams all had a good chance. But it's about profit on investment, guys. It's got nothing to do with strike rate or the number of winners. And that's it. Fingers crossed. Members bets all sorted. We will endeavour to have a decent weekend. And as I say, Scottish Championship is where the bulk of our action is tomorrow. I've given you a couple of bets in Scotland and England. And the National League, I say there's 3 I'm having. I'm back in Braintree, Dagenham and Rochdale. Fingers crossed my side wins. And we have a profitable weekend. But that's it, guys. I will be back next Friday. We've got a full coupon. And fingers crossed for next week as well. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye for now.